Hello and welcome to the lecture series on human resource management. So friends, up till now we have learnt as to what is human resource management, the various aspects, various functions of human resource management, how it evolved over time starting from the industrial revolution, trade unions era, the scientific management era, coming to the current phase of human resource management, what we see today from personnel management to human resource management. We also learnt about the various functions of human resource in any organization, starting from the recruitment and selection, the training and development, performance management, performance appraisals of the people, career development of the employees, and various other aspects of human resource management. So, moving further, today we are going to talk about yet another related or associated aspect of human resource management, which is organizational culture. So, what we are going to learn today is what is organizational culture, the nature of organizational culture, why an organizational culture matters for any organization, and what are its components. So, I am sure you must have heard about a saying that behind every successful man there is a woman. This is a common saying, and in association with an organization, we can say that behind every successful organization there is its culture. So, that brings us to yet another quote from the management guru Peter Drucker. So, friends, culture has the power to either enable or hinder the execution of any strategy that you might be having for your organization. Whereas a positive and an aligned culture would foster engagement, better motivation, more collaboration, making it easier to implement a strategy successfully. Whereas on the other hand, a toxic or a resistant culture, not a welcoming culture, it could undermine even the best laid plans. So, even if you have a very solid strategy for the success of your organization, a very thought of plan could also fail if you do not have the right culture in your organization. That is the power of culture. So, in essence, what we mean by the saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast highlights the fact that a strong and positive culture is the foundation upon which a successful strategy can be built. It clearly emphasizes the importance of creating a supportive and an enabling environment where people are motivated, and not only motivated, they are empowered to execute the strategic plan. So, coming to organizational culture, you would see that it is an invisible yet a very powerful force that shapes how people behave at work. And I am sure the moment you enter any organization, the moment you just open the door and enter into it, step into any organization, you would see the culture. Though it is invisible, yet you are able to see. How you are able to see? It is through the people who are behaving or who are interacting with you. So, even if you go to any showroom to buy an automobile, or any organization where you might be applying for a job, that culture is visible through how people are interacting with you. Are they welcoming? Are they ignoring you? Not treating you properly? So, that is what culture is. So, it is not written on paper alone, it is seen in how employees collaborate, how they communicate, how they take decisions, or even how they celebrate success and even deal with failure. That is the culture. Coming to a more structured definition or framework of organizational culture, well, that we can say that it refers to the shared values, beliefs, behaviors and norms that influence how people interact, make decisions and approach work within an organization. And that is what makes all the difference. That is what makes your organization unique. That is what I would say differentiate a successful organization from a not so successful organization. It is this culture, these values, these beliefs, these behaviors and norms that would actually differentiate organizations. So, it is the collective personality of the organization developed over time and reflected in everything from the meetings, means how the meetings are conducted, to how employees dress, how they lead and how they innovate. So, organizational culture may be understood as the philosophies, the ideologies, the values, assumptions, beliefs, expectations, attitudes and norms that closely knit an organization together and are shared by its employees. According to Edgar Schein, organizational culture is a pattern of shared basic assumptions that a group has learned as it solved its problems of external adaptation and internal integration. A more refined definition of organizational culture, which brings in, apart from we were talking about the pattern of the basic assumptions or values and beliefs, but here we are talking about how we solve problems, and it is during the crisis that the culture comes into play. So, in essence, what does culture answer? Culture answers questions like what behaviors are encouraged here, what kind of a behavior is encouraged, what kind of a behavior is not liked in an organization. So, it would answer the question what behaviors are encouraged here. Second question is how do people get promoted? So, on one hand, if you are saying that we have a culture of ethics or we have a culture of integrity, but on the other hand, if you are promoting people who are corrupt, that means you are not walking the talk, you are not following what you are saying. So, culture would answer the question how do people get promoted and what is considered acceptable or unacceptable. For every organization, there are certain norms which are acceptable, there are certain aspects which are completely unacceptable, or we can say that the organization has a zero tolerance for that. So, if you are able to answer that, that means you have that kind of a culture in your organization. So, let us understand culture in a better way through some corporate examples that I have gathered for you. Google, for example, has a culture of innovation and openness. We all know, we have learnt about Google all these years. So, Google fosters a culture that encourages experimentation, creativity and openness. You must have seen their office spaces also. So, apart from that, it is famous for the 20% time. So, this 20% time is allowed to employees to work on their passion projects. Means apart from your role, what are you passionate about? So, Google gives this 20% time to all its employees to work on whatever passion they have, and this has led to products like Gmail and AdSense. It also has open office spaces casual dress codes and flat hierarchies which support a culture of collaboration. So, when we have flat hierarchies like we have in most of the startups, there the collaboration is more in comparison to when there are not that flat hierarchies. Then we all have heard about Tata Group. Since childhood we have been listening and reading about the Tata Group, which has a values driven culture. So, it is known for its ethical and people centered culture, which is rooted in Indian values. So, they value their people and not profits. So, social responsibility and long term stakeholder well being are placed above short term profits. So, Tata Group has always been known for ethics, for deep rooted cultures, especially the Indian value system. So, this culture is a legacy of J.R.D. Tata's leadership and is deeply embedded across all Tata companies. So, you can see the difference between Google and Tata. It is more values driven, whereas Google is more creative and innovation driven. Next is the example of Amazon. Here the we can say the underpinning is customer obsessed and competitive. So, Amazon's culture, it emphasizes customer obsession, innovation and frugality. So, employees are encouraged to disagree and commit, and the whatever decisions they are taking, it is based on data. So, instead of relying on intuition or gut feeling, Amazon takes more data driven decisions. That is a part of their culture, which makes it fast. So, expectations are high and accountability is central. So, you can very well understand from these three examples of Google, of Tata, of Amazon, that what drives an organization, what differentiates an organization. Of course, this is the culture, the core values which differentiate Google from Amazon and Amazon from Tata or any other such organization. Now, let us understand the nature of organizational culture. So, organizational culture is multidimensional and it is dynamic. It is not static, it keeps on changing. It is collective, not individual. So, it emerges from shared experiences, especially those which are tied to success, failure, conflict and leadership. For example, at Apple, the innovation and design excellence are a part of the collective mindset and not just Steve Jobs' legacy. So, we associate Apple's success to what Steve Jobs did for Apple, but still we can say that it is the role of the collective mindset of the people. That is why we say the organizational culture is collective and not individual. So, not a single person can make a culture. People have to come together collectively, they can form a culture. It is learned and evolved. So, culture is not created overnight. We can't say that okay, today the organization has started and tomorrow we have a culture. No, it takes years and years to develop a culture, and years again for the people to learn and evolve. So, it evolves through history, through leadership influence and organizational culture. So, when you join any organizational or any organization, you learn the culture by observing people, by observing their norms, their policies, their procedures, their regulations, and how people around you are behaving. And most importantly, how the leaders behaved, how the leaders expected their people to behave. That is why we say that culture is not created overnight. So, new hires, they absorb the culture, during the onboarding and by observing the informal behaviors, not just through manuals. So, you of course, the manuals are there, you read it, what contributions the leaders have made, but apart from the manuals, you observe a lot of things, and that is how you absorb the culture. So, next point is unwritten but powerful. So, culture is largely unwritten. It exists in actions and attitudes rather than in policies. So, as I said, the moment you enter an organization, you can clearly see the culture. If people around you are welcoming, they would come, greet you, ask you what you want, offer you a glass of water or maybe tea. That shows their culture. It is not written anywhere, but their behavior would exhibit the culture. But on the other hand, if you enter, nobody is attending to you, or you are sitting there, nobody is offering you a glass of water or even asking what you want, that also shows the culture. So, it is what people do when no one is watching. Another quote which emphasizes culture is that it is what people do when no one is watching. So, it is not just that you have somebody to watch, somebody to tell how to behave, what to do. So, even if your boss is not watching, even if nobody is watching, how you behave is the culture. So, it is unwritten, yet it has a powerful, deep impact. Next is that it is stable but adaptive. So, while the core values may be stable over time, culture can and must adapt to the changing environment, especially since we are living in a technology driven era. It must change because of technology shifts, because of workforce demographics, or even the global competition. Now, these are two aspects which are little bit contradictory, but you have to maintain the balance. It is often said that culture does not change overnight, nor it was made overnight. So, some aspects of your culture must be stable, because that is the foundation of your organization. You can't change the foundation. But at the same time, since we are living in an environment which is dynamic, there are so many changes happening due to technology, due to shift in the demographics, more Gen Zs, more millennials, more women coming into the workforce, you will have to change certain aspects of your culture. And apart from that, there is a global competition as well. So, keeping in mind all these dynamics or the changes, you need to be adaptive. So, you have to create a balance of stability and adaptability. So, for example, Microsoft under Satya Nadella, it shifted from a know-it-all to a learn-it-all culture. We can't always brag about our knowledge, because knowledge is again a dynamic thing. So many things are coming in the environment, so many new aspects are evolving, so many new technologies are evolving. So, at any given point of time, can you claim that I know everything, even if you are an expert of that area? No, because knowledge is evolving. So, instead of saying that I know it all, you have to become adaptive and say I have to learn it all. So, that is the shift in the mindset of the people, that you cannot all the time brag about your knowledge. Instead, you have to rely more on your learning. That is how you would keep on growing in your role in the organization. So, that is what we mean by stability and adaptability. Then another interesting aspect of organizational culture is it is invisible but observable. Again contradictory but interesting. So, the culture itself is invisible, but it is its manifestations, the language, the rituals, the power dynamics, even the workspace design, they are visible and can be analyzed. So, look at who gets promoted or rewarded to understand a company's true culture. So, that is when we learnt about what does the culture answer. So, who is being promoted? What kind of people are being rewarded? Are you rewarding people who are more into gossiping and less of work? That would show your company's true culture. On the other hand, if you are promoting people who are diligent, who are trustworthy, who are loyal, who are performing, who are learning, who are growing, that would also show your company's true culture. So, you do not have to everything has to be a written thing in black and white that we promote these kind of people, but actually whom are you promoting, what are you putting things into action. So, culture is invisible, but yet it can be observed. Then it affects the entire organization. So, culture cuts across departments and functions. It affects every individual, every decision, from how feedback is given to even how risk is assessed. So, we can't say that the top management is affected by culture or the middle management is affected by culture. No, everybody, every single person who is associated with the organization, no matter even if it is a vendor, a shareholder, a customer, that is also affected by the culture of the organization. So, if I am a customer and I go to a particular organization to buy something, and if their people do not treat me well, so their culture is impacting me. So, a collaborative culture would promote cross-functional teamwork, whereas a siloed one would create barriers. So, as an organization, if you have a collaborative culture, people would be collaborating, there would be multidisciplinary research also, promoting more of teamwork. Then it is embedded in the symbols and the stories that every organization has. So, culture is embedded in the organizational myths, the legends, the heroes, the slogans, and these stories act as informal lessons on what is valued. The story of how Zappos once upgraded a customer to overnight shipping at their own expense is part of their customer service oriented culture. So, every organization would be having such stories. Now, let us understand why are we talking about organizational culture, means why is it so important, why organizational culture matters. So, organizational culture is not just a soft concept, it is a critical driver of success or failure. So, as I began this lecture, I told you very explicitly that organizational culture would differentiate your organization from the other organization. It would be a differentiator again of a successful organization or a not so successful organization. So, it is a critical driver of success. So, culture influences everything from how employees behave and make decisions to how an organization reacts to challenges and seizes the opportunities. And we have seen that during the time of the COVID pandemic, that how many organizations they shifted to the work from home, though that was not their culture of allowing people to work from home, but analyzing the environment, they quickly shifted to work from home, giving flexibility to their employees. They seized that opportunity that we have to survive in this era where everything was very uncertain. So, they changed their culture. So, why organizational culture matters? Because it drives employee engagement and performance. So, a strong positive culture creates a sense of belonging, purpose and pride among employees. So, people are more likely to go above and beyond when they feel aligned with the values and vision of the company. So, the more aligned you are with the vision of the company, you become more engaged, and when you become more engaged, your performance, your efficiency, your morale would enhance. So, at Salesforce, employees are actively involved in giving back to communities, which is a core cultural value, and this builds engagement and helps retain the top talent. So, with the help of a good culture, you are able to engage your people, you are able to retain the top talent, you are able to enhance their performance as well. Then it shapes decision making and behavior. So, culture acts as a compass for how decisions are made, especially in the ambiguous situations where rules may not be enough. So, every time you cannot follow the rule, but yes, if there is a positive culture, people would come out of those ambiguous situations. So, in Toyota, the Kaizen, which is the continuous improvement culture, empowers even the shop floor workers to halt production, to address quality issues, something most companies wouldn't allow. So, that is the culture of Toyota, that there has to be continuous improvement. Then another aspect where we can say that organizational culture matters is that it enhances adaptability and innovation. So, a culture that promotes psychological safety and encourages experimentation helps organizations adapt to change and stay competitive. At 3M, a culture of experimentation led to the accidental discovery of the now famous post-it notes. So, they allow 15% of work time for personal innovation projects. Then it also strengthens reputation and brand identity. So, the internal culture of a company often reflects externally, affecting its brand perception among customers, investors and the public. So, how you perceive an organization? We perceive Tata with trust. Whenever a new product of Tata is launched, we do not think twice, because we know that if Tata is saying, if Tata is offering this, it has to be true. That is the perception that we as customers have. But how has that perception come into being? It has come through the internal culture of that company. Like the Patagonia's culture is centered on environmental activism, and this strong culture has made it a beloved brand, especially among the conscious consumers. So, friends, today we have started a new topic of human resource management, which is organizational culture. So, culture, as we have now understood, would differentiate an organization from the other organization. It is a driver of success. It would mean a lot, it matters a lot, it helps in building the reputation of an organization, it enhances adaptability and innovation, it shapes decision making and behavior, it drives employee engagement and performance, right. And if we talk about the nature of organizational culture, it is multidimensional and dynamic. It is not made by a single individual, it is collective in nature. It is learned with the passage of time, it is not created over time. So, whenever a new person joins an organization, through the onboarding process, he listens to a lot of stories about the leaders, he reads the manuals, he observes the people, and that is where he can absorb the culture. So, it is as it is said that it is unwritten, but yet it is a powerful tool. It is stable but adaptive, it is invisible, but still you can observe it through the language, the rituals, the power dynamics, even the design, the workspace design of an organization shows or exhibits the organizational culture. So, we will continue with more interesting aspects of organizational culture in the next lecture. Thank you.